I'm not happy.
I don't need Elizabeth Warren or the government giving away my money.
Calling Mike Bloomberg an oligarch has implications in this country that I think are unfair and unreasonable.
I care. That's it.
Makes you think of some rich person who got their money off of oil in Russia, who's taking advantage of a broken and dysfunctional system.
Bernie Sanders saying, the country's corrupt, our system's corrupt. Be careful about that language, Bernie. You know, be careful.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
We have to keep our country gay.
Oh yeah.
What's up, everybody? It's Wednesday. We got a show for you today. Welcome to it. All right. So, like I said, we got a fun show today. We have Herschel Walker saying ridiculous things, fun things. We have 2,000 mules. A little bit of controversy over a recall. We have Marjorie Greene fleeing an interview, which is great. It's a question and answer session, I suppose, on a local news station. I think you're going to enjoy that. That's fun. And then we have Arizona. Arizona. So you remember Mendoza, that is a Republican candidate there, the one who was in blackface. Well, it turns out Republicans don't really care. Of course not. And then we do have some important news on net neutrality, the FCC. I know it's important stuff, so we'll get to it at the end of the show. So before we do, please like and share the stream. Very important to do so. Helps us out greatly. With that, let's head into the first story. Oh, and you can, of course, support us by doing super chats, stars, becoming a member, subscribing, all the various different platforms that we're on. That's Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. With that said, I feel like that should be the title of that book/movie. Because basically, it's just all BS. Okay. The election denial book, 2,000 Mules, has continued to feed the imaginations of right-wingers across the country, the very active imaginations, apparently, with its insane conspiracy theories about operatives, Democratic operatives known as mules, that were allegedly stuffing ballot boxes for Joe Biden in 2020. Right. Again, absolutely no evidence that this had happened. Nonetheless, that didn't stop author and filmmaker Dinesh D'Souza from deciding to publish this garbage anyway. You know, because of course. Now, that said, he published it, and then, oh no, oh wait, I gotta bring it back. Alterations. We need to make some alterations. Okay?
Oh no!
Bring it back. Most notably, one of the alterations is a passage in the recalled version of the book that accused specific named nonprofit organizations of involvement in illegal ballot trafficking. So now that has been rewritten, softening certain claims and outright removing the names of the groups. Gee, I wonder why. Well, we'll get to that. Now, one such group, by the way, is the New Georgia Project. Okay, they focus on registering and mobilizing young voters and voters of color. So I can understand why that would be a target of Republicans because, well, they did the same thing to Acorn. I mean, not quite the same thing, but they accused him of outrageous, ridiculous things and got them to fund it. And by the way, that was during the Obama administration. Obama helped to fund them. Oh my God, I can't believe Republicans would say terrible things about this group. I guess we should defund the group because we don't want to offend Republicans. I know it still blows my mind that would ever happen. But it's happened way too much. We put up with too much crazy, and you see where it got us. You see where it got us. At some point, you have to put your foot down and say, okay, no more insanity from you people. We're done with it. We're done putting up with your garbage, with your bullshit. So that said, the other groups, there was 5 total that were named in this book. 4 of them are unnamed. Separately, sections of the book also had purported to link election fraud to, wait for it, Antifa and BLM. Now, those sections have interestingly been deleted as well. Now, of course, it's because there was no evidence of their involvement, none at all. They just make things up and put them in the book. Now, law enforcement officials, fact checkers have thoroughly discredited the film's allegations, and the filmmakers have declined to make key evidence for their central claims to be public. You see, that's how also you know it's a lie. When they say, oh, no, we've got all this evidence, tons and tons of evidence. We have all the evidence. We just can't let you see it right now, though. Just trust us, bro. Just trust us. We know what we have, but you don't know what we have. It's amazing. So now, look, the reason that this book, first it was a movie, then there's the book. One viewer of the film was like, hey, Dinesh, sure, you've got all these things. You're saying all these fantastical things, right? Okay, let's see some evidence. All right, good. I'm glad that you're asking for evidence. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. After all, you know, if you live in the real world and somebody tells you these insane things, you might want to have them show you some proof first before you believe it. Unfortunately, it seems to not be how the world works these days. D'Souza's response back in July, when this was asked, is the follow-up book, based on 2,000 mules, would name names. He said in a tweet, I'm going to reveal the names of several of these nonprofit stash houses. By the way, stash houses makes me think of drugs. Just saying. In my book, 2,000 Mules, which, of course, he wants to sell this book. So, oh, yeah, no, the evidence isn't there. So you need to buy it first. See, we see what your game is, Dinesh. Criminal. No, literal convicted criminal. We're doing fraud. He's a fraudster and a thief. He just lies about every single thing in his movie and his book. Yes, he's a con artist. Now, the initial version of the book that was set to be published in August. Well, okay, it published in August, but as soon as it came out, backpedal, retract, bring it back. Oh no, bring it back. Oh my God, there are things in there that we should not have in there. Now, again, D'Souza did accuse these 5 nonprofit groups acting as stash houses with no evidence. And then the publisher, Regnery, had issued this recall. D'Souza and the publisher then blamed an unspecified publishing error and declined to answer further questions about why they had pulled the book. Now, that is significant, by the way, enough to cause Salem Media, Regnery's parent company, to lower its corporate earnings estimate. Oh, did your lies hurt the corporate bottom line? Let me just get out the tiniest little violin for you. Again, publishing basically what is, fiction. That's what this movie is. It's fiction. Now, NPR had contacted the 5 groups D'Souza had accused of involvement in election fraud because they got an unaltered copy of the book. So they, did a recall. They got, I'm assuming, all 12 copies that sold. They got the books back, but NPR just happened to get their hands on one of them. And so they were able to read it in its unaltered state, and they had the details on these groups and these allegations. Now, 2 of them went on the record to condemn the allegations as, quote, trash, lies, and malarkey. That is some malarkey. Let me tell you what. And by the way, yeah, it is malarkey.
Oh yeah.
And one of the groups also described the allegation as, quote, potentially libelous. The New Georgia Project, through its spokesperson, sent a message to NPR, and I love this, quote, we're always happy when someone who has been discredited takes our name out their mouths. Ooh. I love it. I love it. How'd you like that? How do you like that, boy? So, now, that said, True the Vote. You know True the Vote. That is the election denial organization that's going out there and they're menacing drop boxes, essentially. Even they have distanced themselves from the book. Quote, this is a statement that to NPR back in September, True the Vote had no participation in this book and has no knowledge of its contents. This includes any allegations of activities of any specific organizations made in the book. We made no such allegations. That's great. Now, D'Souza and Regnery have officially released the 2000 Mules book and have changed these specific sections. D'Souza had previously described left-wing nonprofits as doing vote trafficking. Not true. The newly released book tones that phrase and says, the potentially storing ballots, again, not true. The names of specific nonprofits that D'Souza accused the election fraud have all been removed. And in lieu of listing specific groups, D'Souza writes, True the Vote shared their names with me and has offered to make them available as needed to the appropriate law enforcement authorities.
Bullshit.
Not really. And in September, when NPR had obtained the copy of the recalled book, Regnery said that they would be happy to talk to you about more about 2000 Mules once it's published. But when asked about arranging an interview this week, Regnery President Thomas Spence declined. No. Interview? What are you talking about? Interview? No, I don't want to do an interview. No, garbage. At this point, Regnery is not offering any comment on the book 2000 Mules, Spence wrote in an email. You know why? It's because they're embarrassed. That's it. They're embarrassed. No evidence, 60 court cases, Trump-appointed judges ruling against claims of voter fraud, Republican officials calling these claims preposterous. And you know why they call it preposterous? Because it is preposterous. For example, the film in the recalled version of the book said that True the Vote used a database from something called the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, or ACLED, to make a connection between mules, Black Lives Matter, and Antifa. ACLED objected to that characterization and requested a correction from D'Souza, saying, this is not the type of analysis that you can use ACLED data for, and is highly unlikely that these conclusions have any basis in fact. Spokesperson said every reference to ACLED in the recalled version of the book was, quote, incorrect or misleading. Gee, really? Surprise? No, actually, no surprise. Of course we know it's incorrect and or misleading. Now, ACLED does not appear anywhere in the book, and several paragraphs that attempted to rebut NPR's earlier fact check about that data have also been removed, as well as the claims that the mules had connections to Antifa and BLM. Because again, No evidence. So let me give you a statement here. This is from Sam Jones, ACLED's head of communications, saying ACLED requested a correction from the publisher based on the incorrect references included in the recalled version of 2000 Mules. And we are happy to see that these references have ultimately been removed from the final copy of the book. Our data do not support any of the claims or conclusions that were previously linked to ACLED. And there it is. Now, is this going to matter to Magna Chuds? Probably not. But let me get to the real reason here behind the changes. It's not because it's all made up and they know it, and they want to be honest with people. And they knew they made some lies, few omissions, right, of fact. No, they went too far, and they know it. They named names, which put them in potential legal jeopardy. They were pressured, by the way, to do so, to name these names by the fact that there are still, yes, right-wingers who generally do believe in this conspiracy theory, but wanted to see some evidence to back them up. So the idiot Dinesh D'Souza sprinkles in some names of organizations and groups that he doesn't like a group that helps get black and brown people to vote. Oh, no, they can't have that. They obviously must be part of the Mules. And, of course, BLM and Antifa. But in doing so, to try to get this confirmation bias, well, they wanted to, or I should say they went too far. They ran into a problem when you start naming names. If you were lying about an organization, a group, or individual, you open yourself up to libel, slander, or defamation. Now, these things have a high bar to prove in a court of law. Understand. But if D'Souza is this rattled about the possibility of legal action to support a recall, well, that means, obviously he knows that he went too far. Now, one more thing about this. You might be wondering, okay, but you say he went too far with these allegations, right? With naming these groups. Well, why didn't he realize that before? What was he, why wasn't he worried before? What changed? Well, for example, you had Alex Jones getting hit with defamation lawsuits. You had Newsmax, Rudy Giuliani, Fox News. These groups started taking legal action against election deniers. These companies like Smartmatic and Dominion. Like I said before, once you start naming names in your nonsense conspiracy theories and wrapping up companies, which, by the way, you mess with a corporation and their future profit margins, well, then you're going to be in trouble. You're going to get yourself in trouble. Which is why, again, if you're going to go for a conspiracy theory, you got to keep it vague. Right? Oh, it's the shadowy they. They're coming after your rights. What they're gonna do is they're killing babies. They're chopping them up, and then they're giving it to people to drink their adrenochrome. That's what's going on. Who are they? It's they. They're all around us. They're even in the room right now. They're watching. I got to be careful with what I say, but you know what? I'm a true patriot, so I'm gonna say it anyway. Yeah, you come get me. Yeah. Come get it. No, it's ridiculous. But if you want to, again, avoid this trouble, then you got to keep it vague. Or go after a very well-known public figure. For example, you go after the Joe Bidens. You go after the Hillary Clintons, right? And because, again, when you have that public figure, well, that's a little bit different. And you are able to come up with weirdo conspiracy theories, and everybody thinks it's normal. That said, at this point, I think Dinesh D'Souza knows that he had fucked around and has opened himself up to finding out. I forgot the gay chemicals in my impression. Ah, damn it.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Okay. All right. So, they use weasel words to protect from lawsuits, is Jacob Meisler. You're absolutely correct. That, you know what? That is a great way to call it too. Weasel words. Weasel words. Okay. Pretty stupid to think that it wouldn't end up in court. S.J. Mullen, let me push back on that a little bit. See, in a normal world, you would be correct. We don't live in a normal world. We live in a world where the right wing has gotten away with the most outrageous lies and smears for decades. Where Democrats, the left, hasn't been able to fight back. That's why they think, of course we could get away with it. Donald Trump's gotten away with it. All these right-wing figures, up until recently, have gotten away with it. It took how many years to take down Alex Jones? Yeah. So, I mean, again, that's the counterpoint. All right. So let's go to the next story, though.
Y'all ask me why I'm running. I'm running because I'm this country boy from Wrightsville, Georgia. Yeah, I love you too, but I'm this country boy from Wrightsville, Georgia. I don't know what I'm doing, but I do know how to vote.
That was Republican Senate nominee, or candidate, sorry, Herschel Walker, who was saying the quiet part out loud. So, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, really? Yeah. Well, we all knew that. That was at a campaign stop in Georgia with Senator Lindsey Graham Wednesday. So let me ask you, does that inspire confidence? I mean, you want people to vote for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing? Doesn't know what their job is, how to do their job? I mean, think about this in any other setting, right? If you're going to hire somebody to design buildings, you're going to hire somebody who has never designed a building, never taken architecture, doesn't know how to measure for load-bearing beams, doesn't know how to do structural integrity. I mean, that would be pretty stupid, wouldn't it? Okay, what about another example? A doctor never went to med school or did anything to learn medicine. So basically not a doctor. How about hiring somebody who claims to be a pilot who's never been flight trained? Look, you might think that's unfair. Oh, Jeff, look, that's a Senate seat. It's not like being a pilot. Okay, but a Senate seat is pretty important. You could be a deciding vote on important and nuanced issues. Everything involving the economy, to the climate, to people's health care. So, I mean, that's really important stuff. It's life or death stuff. Now, does Herschel Walker strike you as someone who, might be able to learn on the job? I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think he cares about learning on the job. I don't think he's capable of learning on the job. He's got no idea what he's doing. But see, understand, this is what Republicans want. Republicans want somebody who's just smart enough to sign the tax cuts for the rich bill. Somebody who is, who will follow the donor's wishes 100% of the time. That's what he wants. That's what they want. And Walker will do this. He will, sign whatever Republicans put in front of his face. Hey, tax cuts for the rich? Yeah, where do I sign? Deregulation of corporations, where do I sign? More pollution, where do I sign? Yeah, you sign there, right? Where's that? Where's that? No, he will do that. And that's the sad part. Now, the other thing that's deeply depressing about this is that Republicans will look at this and say, great, we don't want people in office who know what they're doing. And you might think that's unfair, but it really isn't, because they already have voted for people who don't know what they're doing. Donald Trump. So, hey, why not one more person who has no intention of doing their own job, of learning their job, and helping actual working people. Because remember, the job of Herschel Walker as a Republican will be to help the donors and not the voters. That's what he's there for. Now, in fact, one more thing. One more video from this. And it's Herschel Walker's message to people who disagree with him.
And when I got too big for my britches, and he said I didn't like the rules underneath his roof, he said, leave my house. That's what we need. We need leaders in Washington say, if you don't like the rules of the United States of America, leave the United States of America. Go somewhere else. There's other places, and if they would take you, why don't you go?
If you don't like the rules of the United States, you should leave. It's funny, there's a lot of people that didn't like the rules that weren't able to leave. You know, like, oops. Just saying, I'm pretty sure they didn't like the rules, Herschel. I know it's an extreme example, but it's true. And by the way, why should I leave? I'm a patriot. I actually love this country. And by the way, you know what this country is? It's not a set of arbitrary lines on a map. No, you know what this country is? It's people. It's the people. And I love the American people because the people are America. I actually want to help the people. I want the government to serve the people and not corporations, the donors, the elites that he will, of course, undoubtedly serve, as all Republicans do. And they may campaign on, oh, no, we're not members of the elite, but every single time they're in office, they 100% kiss the ass of corporate America, of lobbyist groups. Maybe different corporations, maybe the same corporations as others. But when it comes down to it, they will always bend over for large business interests at the expense of us, the voters, taxpayers, and even smaller business. That's who the Republicans are. They are a money funneling scheme to the rich. Herschel Walker, more than happy to funnel that money if he makes some too. How it works, everybody. All right. Let's have some fun with Marjorie Greene. You're going to love this. They're in bed together. They don't have to bend over. Oh, no. You understand. You misunderstand how that relationship is. And this is not the kink shame, by the way. This is like a dom sub relationship, right? Corporations are the dominator, the dominant ones, right? I almost said dominatrix. I suppose that could apply. And the politicians are the subs. That's how it works. All right.
Okay, we're back without Marjorie Taylor Greene. You all ran her off. She's gone.
Yeah. Why'd you do that?
She's gone. So we'll take your calls or comments or whatever you got to say, but she left. She said she enjoyed my show and she's through and got up and left. So she's out of here. Nothing I can do about that, okay?
So that was a local talk show on UCTV in North Georgia. So this is right after Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene was sitting down for quite some time, actually, to answer questions from callers, and then suddenly got up and left. Oh, interesting. So again, I told you that she sat down for some questions for nearly an hour. I watched pretty much the whole thing. And some of those questions were easy. She had some fans that called in, and she had some detractors that called in. But nonetheless, she decided to disappear during a commercial break. Basically unannounced. Like, oh, no, by the way, gotta go. Gotta go. That's a bit odd. It's not like Marjorie Greene has anything to do. She doesn't have any committee assignments. She, the party is not in control of any of the branches of government at this point. So what does she have to do? Honestly, what does she do other than do her own podcast and go around saying insane things on other people's shows? What was the rush? Weird. Well, that said, maybe it might have been some of the pushback from Georgia voters. I'm going to show you some of that.
Calling January 6th a riot, that was an attempt to overthrow the government. And also, you was right in the middle of it. You texted Kelly Leffer, you texted Meadows. You was all in the middle of that. You're a QAnon conspiracist. You like the Boogaloo Boys. You all up in all of
Sir, you're lying. These are all lies. I don't know what kind of news you're watching, but you're paying attention to the fake news. Sir, you've got some major problems, and I am not your problem, but you're paying attention to lies and fake news. None of this is true.
Fake news.
Yep, you're fake news.
You're blaming this all on the women. My body is my body, and I don't want the government telling me what I can do with my body.
Ma'am, are you having children anytime soon? That's my question. I'm asking a legitimate question. And you're right, it's your body, but a baby inside a woman's womb is another person's body.
If a child is the 10-year-old child that was raped, what about?
Then I think we should put the rapist, a child abuser.
Be punished. The child can't have anything done to her without the government going after them, fining them, and all that stuff. That's not right. Election. You still don't believe that Georgia voted for Biden. You still don't believe that. Now you said that Georgia. You don't believe that happened. You don't believe
how's inflation hurting your checking account and your grocery bills, ma'am? Because that's Joe Biden.
Well, that went well. How's inflation? How's inflation going? We're not asking you about inflation. Asking you actually pretty legitimate questions concerning your role in January 6th. And about abortion, and about all these things, and yeah, Marjorie Greene's distract. Inflation. Okay, well, why don't we talk about inflation? She, of course, goes on to blame specifically Joe Biden, because the entire interview, by the way, she shadowboxed with Joe Biden. That's it. When in reality, it's not Joe Biden; it's corporations. Corporations are the major driver of inflation. And we know that because you look at corporate, profits that are even higher than before. They have taken advantage of inflation or inflationary fears and have said, and by the way, there is inflation in prices and like materials and things, but they have jacked the price up far beyond that because, again, if they didn't jack their prices up and blame inflation, well, they would have also they would also have increased their costs and have eaten that increase. Instead, they increased their profit margins by a lot. In fact, a lot of the CEOs in their earnings calls have admitted inflation is great for us because we can use it to our advantage to make even more profits. So, that said, I loved it watching this because it was fun. For one, there's something that's inherently wholesome about local cable access. It really is. It was fun. Secondly, she shows up, Marjorie Greene, filibusters everyone who challenges her, right? Unless it was like a super friendly person. It's like, oh, I love you, Marjorie Greene. You're so great. Oh, I loved how you voted against the voice vote. Yeah, okay, great. So, kissed her ass. She was asked about supporting January 6th. She pivots to inflation. As I mentioned, she ignores the very important argument that Republicans have been making for years, which is they're supposed to be against big government. Well, what's more big government than them getting up in your uterus of every single woman in this country? Getting your womb. How's that not big government? But again, it's not like she didn't get supportive callers. She did get quite a few. It was a mix. So again, getting to the question here of, why did she suddenly have to leave? It's weird that she did a hard out. Now, look, I do a show. Obviously, you're watching it. I've booked people before. I've had conversations. I have people on the show all the time. And when somebody has a hard out, they will tell you. Like, hey, I got to leave at this particular time. Okay. And that's usually scheduled and worked out ahead of time so that you don't run into these situations where as soon as they go to commercial break, I got to go. Wait, hold on. What you said you're going to be here. So you're going to stay here for a while. What happened? But no, she just gone, disappeared out of here. And I believe the reason is that she gets flustered whenever she's challenged. That's what it is. Okay. She doesn't like being challenged. She doesn't like when people question her. And she doesn't like the pushback. And she doesn't like to argue with people. She's really, really bad with about it. So now, that said, I got one more video here, okay, where a fan of Marjorie Greene called into that show and then started blaming the show for Marjorie Greene leaving. This is amazing. Take a look.
And all your commercials, I didn't see the first commercial.
Because she didn't buy them, she was offered the opportunity to buy them, and they said she wasn't buying any commercials. Marcus Flowers, we don't turn down political commercials. That's something in this business you don't turn down. And he paid for them to be placed where they were placed, and we placed them there. And I told her when she come on the air that they were there, and she said, I'm okay with that. So that ain't no good point, sir.
I don't think your show's going to hurt her, man.
I didn't try to hurt her. I invited her on here so you all could talk to her and meet her. There's nothing meant to hurt her.
But she knows it's a Democrat station, and
no, it's not a Democrat station. Where'd you get that? Do you see that written anywhere on these signs? Where is it? Where is it?
I just know how your attitude has been.
Let me tell you about your attitude. This is not a Democratic station, and I'm like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and you're lying.
No, you're lying.
Okay, let him talk. Let him talk. He's got so much he's got to say.
Every time you open your mouth.
Oh, good night to you. Thank you. I hope you have a good night's sleep. You'll get over it. Caller, go ahead.
Again, wholesome. I don't know why, but telling that guy off was awesome. Just the way. I hope you have a good night, sir. You'll get over it. Too much fun. Now, look, the argument that he was trying to raise there, one of many, is that, I can't believe you would show ads from Marcus Flowers. And again, I watched that, and Marcus Flowers had ads. Wow, political advertising. And that's actually really smart of the Flowers campaign. Putting those ads in there at really key points. But as she said, hey, you don't turn down ads in this business, and I totally understand. And they asked, hey, Marge, do you want to put your own ads in there? She said, no, it's fine. So, wait, that's her decision. She decided not to advertise herself, not to run any of her ads. So what's your problem? The Democrat station. Wait. Democrat station for inviting Marjorie Greene, asking her questions, letting people who are her own supporters, who did call in, and supporters of Flowers, allowing people to call in to have an open conversation. I thought that was supposed to be free speech. I thought that was supposed to be a free exchange of ideas. I thought right-wingers loved that. I thought they were in support of, so supposed to be supporting, like, oh yeah, no, we hear all perspectives here. No, it turns out they just wanted a safe space. That's what this guy wanted. This is somebody who wants a safe space. And Marjorie Greene, upon realizing, not a safe space, I gotta go. How dare you ask me any questions and allow, and by the way, they allowed her to talk. Again, if you listen to the whole thing, she goes on and on and on, talking over callers consistently. And even the host. But I thought it was supposed to be Democrats that are silencing conservatives. No, not at all. Not at all. But again, if you're a right winger, we get your story straight. Either you're a victim and everything is unfair, and Democrats are ruling everything, or the other side is weak and feckless. What is it? What is it? Get your story straight. I can guarantee I'll never receive a straight answer. I'll receive about 14 different answers and then get called a libtard. Because that's basically it. No, I love this. This was fun. I actually really enjoyed that interview. And like I said, interesting perspectives that we're hearing from Georgia voters. Turns out there's some pretty good voters there. All right. Moving on. Speaking of some not good people, let's go to Arizona. Earlier this week, some unflattering images of Republican candidate Mary Ann Mendoza were released. This was Mendoza posing in black and brown face. That came out, and, apparently nobody cared. Keeping it real. Nobody cared. Arizona Republicans, they saw the reporting on this and went, shrugged their shoulders. Don't really care. On Wednesday, ABC 15, Melissa Blasius reported that political allies have defended Mendoza, because, of course, Republican Arizona House candidate from Mesa after photos of her in blackface and brownface surfaced on social media. Mendoza, who gained prominence as one of former President Donald Trump's angel moms, or mothers who lost their children to crimes committed by undocumented immigrants. Her son, of course, was a police officer. And she was found to have Facebook photos of herself dressed up as Aunt Jemima and an indigenous person. So here are those images. Yeah. So, classy, huh? Classy. The response to it was, again, indifference. Republican Representative Debbie Lesko had emailed a statement to ABC 15 that said this: instead of focusing on decade-old Halloween photos posted by liberal opponents right before an election, voters care about a secure border and common-sense policies that will keep Arizona strong. This is what voters will get with Mary Ann Mendoza. Okay, so along with nonsense policies like building a stupid wall, which I'm assuming she's in favor of, you can expect casual racism. Great, they're just openly admitting it, that's their policy now. Kathleen Wynn, a friend of Mendoza, so totally unbiased source there, told ABC 15, quote, her heart is pure, and she deserves our full support. Pure of heart. Well, look, in the segment that I did before this, when this had come out, I showed you the kind of stuff that she believes. Weirdo anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. She had promoted a thread that alleged that malevolent Jewish forces in the banking industry are out to enslave non-Jews and promote world wars. But she is pure of heart, everyone. Pure of heart. Wynn, her friend, also said this, quote, whatever makeup she wore is no worse than drag queens. Wow. That is hilariously ridiculous. I mean, number one, blackface. There's a history there that goes all the way back to the minstrel shows, where white actors dressed up in blackface in order to mock black people. That was the point. Drag queens, however, they're entertainers. And so, look, I've explained this before. It's almost like hiring somebody who's a clown, right? And I say that as a good thing. Okay, because clowns are entertaining, drag queens, not exactly my cup of tea, but some people find them entertaining. And what they do is, again, intentionally, drag queens do over-the-top makeup and have over-the-top personalities. And that is for entertainment purposes. That's the point. Drag queens come in gay and straight varieties. They are not inherently sexual. It is an outlet for creativity. Again, not my cup of tea. But the things right-wingers are saying about them, this moral panic that they have developed about drag queens is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And basically, this connects to creating the same moral panic they've created around gay and trans people. And they have connected them all together. But this is not a comparison. But honestly, I don't know if right-wingers understand the difference between a drag queen and a trans person. I think, they have said openly that people dressing up in drag is evidence of moral decay. Hey, you know who else has dressed up in drag before? Rudy Giuliani. Remember that? He was in a skit with Donald Trump, dressed up in drag. Movies where the premise is guy dresses up in drag. Suddenly, though, in 2022, dressing up in drag, end of society. Come on. Come on. This is ridiculous. F off. But here's the other thing that they're doing, right? So right-wingers, and by the way, Proud Boys have been doing this a lot, going to events where there's drag queens, events that are open to children, right? Now, the thing about that is that those events are designed to be non-sexualized and child-friendly. There's no stripping. There's nothing like that going on. So, no, they're obsessed with drag queens, and really, it's a huge distraction. Now, you might be thinking, well, okay, but the blackface thing, what about that? Isn't that a distraction? Well, here's the thing about that. She believes in doing so. These actions, they do speak louder than words. She thinks that mocking minorities at Halloween parties is funny. Like, oh, this is a costume. It's a joke. My existence is a joke. Right? Or, I'm sorry, my costume of your existence is a joke. At your expense. So, that does matter. Now, again, when it comes to the party, when it comes to the voters, well, that racism, that indifference towards black and brown people and the struggles that they have to go through, well, for them, the racism is not a bug. It's the feature. Okay. So let's go to the FCC. It has been 1 year since President Joe Biden has nominated his pick to replace Ajit Pai on the FCC. So Ajit Pai, of course, after Trump had lost re-election, had resigned from his position. And Ars Technica is reporting that 1 year ago today, Biden had nominated Gigi Sohn to the empty spot on the FCC. That spot is still empty as of today. Now, here's the thing. Democrats have made a pretty big deal about restoring net neutrality. Biden did, of course, and he made actually a pretty good nomination. So I'm not going to fault him on this. But the nomination has gone to the Senate, which has not picked it up at all. And look, net neutrality protections were removed during the Trump administration, which has allowed ISPs to raise prices and police content online. Which is not good. That's an issue that affects all of us, whether you're, progressive, a liberal, or conservative. It affects everybody because a free and fair internet, well, is incredibly important to small business, big business. Again, telecommunications, everything. If it deals with the internet, it's kind of important to have net neutrality. And which net neutrality is basically treating everything equal online and not favoring one or the other. So that said, the thing about Sohn is that she is, again, as I mentioned, a pretty good pick for the FCC, as she's actually been a consumer advocate and an advocate for free speech. She had even worked in the Obama-era FCC. If she is confirmed, she would give Chairwoman Jessica Rosenworcel the tie-breaking vote needed to reverse Trump-era deregulation of broadband industry, as well as restoring these net neutrality rules. So then why is she still waiting? Well, you know the answer to that. Money. Comcast, one of the companies that is against net neutrality rules, has lobbied very hard against Sohn just behind the scenes, despite not publicly opposing the nomination. Not only that, but Republicans had vowed to prevent Sohn's confirmation, with Senator Ted Cruz and others claiming that she would use the post at the FCC to, what is it? What is the line that they always go to? They're going to censor conservatives! Which is funny because that's not what conservatives are saying. Now, Republicans in the Senate, who are, House and Senate, who are all corrupt, by the way, paid off by giant lobbyists. Well, they're the ones that are saying, they're going to censor conservatives, But really, conservatives online, and I'm going to give you really two big examples here of conservative outlets saying, actually, no, she's great. We support her. We don't agree with everything that she does. She's progressive, but this is an issue that actually does matter to us. Being treated equally and fairly on the internet, having all content being treated equally. Newsmax and One America News, two organizations I never thought I would align with an issue on, they're full support of Sohn's nomination, as well as many progressives and progressive groups. In fact, One America News and Newsmax praised Sohn's longtime commitment to freedom of speech. As Axios has reported, Sohn was on the same side as both Newsmax and OAN in opposing the Sinclair Tribune deal, which again creates monopolies. Media consolidation is a huge problem in this country. And again, it doesn't just affect progressives, it affects progressives, liberals, and conservatives. We all get screwed over when there are giant corporate monopolies. Now, smaller conservative networks, as Axios notes, have more to gain from Sohn's record that favors independent programmers. Now, there's a letter from Charles Herring, in fact, and I'm going to show you that. It might be a little bit difficult for you to read, but just to show you that it is official. Okay. Again, difficult to read. But they're in full support for Gigi Sohn. That's OAN. Crazy. Now, that said, getting back to the Senate, you have senators like Lindsey Graham, who called her a, quote, complete political ideologue who has disdain for conservatives. Well, look, I have disdain for conservatives. That doesn't mean I'm not going to align with them on the issue of net neutrality. Of course I do. Because it's the right thing to do. The Wall Street Journal's editorial board went even further, alleged this month that Sohn favors destroying the agency's regulatory power to shackle broadband providers and silence conservative voices. Really? Deploying regulatory power to silence conservatives? What? No. Now, here's the thing. Lindsey Graham happened to have gotten about $10,000 in donations in 1 year. This is the 2020 cycle from Comcast. Lindsey Graham, $10,000. Wow, that came cheap. That's not all. 70% of Comcast political contributions in the Senate went to Republicans. About 73% specifically. 52% of House donations made by Comcast went to Republicans. So overwhelmingly, and again, that's because the Senate can take up these appointments and do confirmations to the FCC. Very important. Now, as I mentioned, 70%, yes, went to Republicans. Where's the other, well, roughly 27%? Where did that go? Well, obviously it went to Democrats. And when you have a Senate that is 50-50 with Kamala Harris as the tie-breaking vote, you don't need that many. You don't need that many Democrats on your side. You just need one. And guess what? They have one. Joe Manchin, of course. He's received money from lobbyists and opposes this vote. Again, you have to have every Democrat that has to, do a confirmation vote, or else she ain't getting it confirmed. And that's why, according to the Washington Post, AT&T, Comcast, Verizon, and T-Mobile, these telecom companies, has spent over $23 million combined lobbying Washington so far this year, with Comcast leading the pack at $7.4 million, according to data from Open Secrets. It's not clear how much was spent on opposing Sohn's nomination specifically, as those numbers are not specified in lobbying disclosures. However, Comcast this year, according to the Washington Post, paid former Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle and his firm $30,000 to lobby on the status of FCC nominations, among other issues, according to a July disclosure filing. Comcast has hired lobbyists with ties to West Virginia and Arizona, possibly to influence Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. Sinema voted for Sohn during the committee hearing, but has still been seen as a possible holdout for a full Senate vote. Now, in the committee, the vote was 14-14 among party lines. Now, well, you have to have Chuck Schumer to introduce this, and Chuck Schumer has not introduced this. About 250 groups, and that, by the way, that's because Schumer also has family members that are working in the telecommunications industry. Let's be fair about that. That's why, very likely why this is happening. Now, about 250 groups have urged the Senate to finally vote on Sohn's nomination. In a letter to Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, the letter was signed by many advocacy groups, including Public Knowledge, the Benton Institute for Broadband and Society, Common Cause, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, Fight for the Future, Free Press, the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, the National Digital Inclusion Alliance, New America's Open Technology Institute, and the Schools, Health, and Libraries Broadband Coalition. The letter was also signed by some in the telecom industry, including Dish, Encompass, NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association, the Rural Wireless Association, Sonic, Starry, and Zio Group, as well as tech industry groups, including the Chamber of Progress, the Computer and Communications Industry Association, the Computing Technology Industry Association, and the Consumer Technology Association. A lot of these groups are saying we do want a free and fair internet. That's it. We want all content in the internet to be treated equally. We do not want to have one company, for example, Google, boosting its own products and services over competitors using that search engine. Or Amazon doing the same thing, uplisting its own products and services over everyone else because you are forced to use that platform because no one else has a big enough platform. Because that's what they're doing right now without net neutrality. You can see why this hurts small business, actual small business. If you care about small business, if you give a crap about competition, then you would be in favor of an open internet. And that's why all of these smaller groups are. And that's why lobbyists from big corporations despise it because they hate competition. They hate freedom. Now, there's more. Okay, so let me read some of that letter. Over Ms. Sohn's 30 years of experience in telecommunications, broadband, and technology policy, she has shown a strong commitment to the First Amendment and has proven to be a leader in promoting innovation, U.S. jobs, and a strong economy. She has regularly worked with organizations representing diverse media interests and across the aisle to ensure all voices and views are heard both as a consumer advocate and as a government official. Her consistent and long-held support of diversity and viewpoints in media will serve all voices well, and it's why she is supported by both conservatives and progressives. They also add, Sohn has worked extensively during her career to expand broadband access to those who cannot afford it. For example, by working with industry and members of Congress in developing programs which support low-income Americans, including those in rural and tribal lands, Stone's life work is the embodiment of the FCC's mission. Simply cannot allow a less than fully functioning FCC to persist any longer. Again, what's stopping this is money. That's it. The politicians are not being challenged to vote on this. Chuck Schumer is not being pressured enough to put this on the floor. Joe Manchin is not being pressured enough to vote in favor of this for her confirmation. She is liked by both, except when it comes to the Senate, progressives and conservatives. And the other problem here is it's been a year, and guess what? The FCC is still gutted, and we're running out of time. Tick tock, tick tock. The midterms are coming up. Midterms, they're not looking good for Democrats. The Senate is about to get wiped out. If the polls are correct, Republicans might pick up an additional couple of seats. That means nothing's going to happen. Because Republicans, as I just showed you, they're 100% corrupt and against this. Democrats, they're still a shot if there's enough pressure put on them by the voters. So we got a couple of weeks at most. If you want this to happen, if you want Gigi to actually be put on the FCC before Biden becomes a lame duck, well, then you got to act fast. If not, these companies are going to continue to merge and raise prices and fees and continue to be anti-consumer for their own profit margins. If you care about this issue, if you care about net neutrality, care about equality on the internet, then you might want to give Chuck Schumer a call or jingle. Be nice about it, but firm, and tell him to support Gigi Sohn, to bring her out, her confirmation out for a vote, and to get Manchin, Sinema, and the rest of the party on board. That's it. That's all I got today. So, let's go to Super Chats here. The Chibs, thank you for being a member. Appreciate that. Hey, Jeff, the best from sunny Scotland. Hey, that's very nice. I would like to visit one time, over that way. That'd be awesome. Gabby Mathis says, we live in our district and voted against her. Arizona's a beautiful state, filled with awful people. And then also asks, am I addressing climate change someday? Do you want to be even more depressed? I ain't got nothing good to say about climate change and what's going on. Because it's all disaster. But hey, if you would like to be depressed, I will definitely bring out a climate change story so that we can all sit here in collective horror at the terrible things that are coming down the pike. Ask and you shall receive. And no, I honestly, though, I am open to bringing in comments. I have a Reddit, story ideas. I have a Reddit, a Waldorf Nation Reddit where you can, if you want to, do some, present some stories here. Some story ideas, some, choices. Appreciate that. Or of course, Twitter. Plenty of different ways that you can suggest stories, and I always like to. All right. With that said, thank you. Twitch, Sonic Fear. Thank you for resubbing for month tier 1 for 3 months. Sonic Fear says, run for them hills, maggots. We're all gonna die. There's the climate change. We're all gonna die. Speaking of weed, support hemp products. All right. So, anyway, thank you all for joining me. Really, really appreciate it. Raid. Well, we're gonna raid in. All is. I need to find all the live channels that are online because I never know who's on now, which is ridiculous. All right. Well, anyway, just right into left lane. As far as everyone else, again, thank you. Please like and share the stream. You can sign up to support us. We need your support more than ever. YouTube algorithms are garbage. They're trash. All that fun stuff. So, with that said, love you all. Have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation.
Beta! How you like that, boy? I'm not working on McDonald's money.
Sexual anarchy.
I apologize for nothing. I concede nothing.
Big, massive dumps.
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.
Disappointed.